Testing. I'll do the microphone. All right, let me get in it since I'm holding you all from the food. Just a little bit of a okay. So first of all, I want to introduce you to your Spring 2023 Toyota Sports Center Wednesday night Copper Division champions. And this is the traditional hockey championship photo, and you can see that it looks a lot like this one, right? So same idea, cup, a lot of, well, ours probably has a little bit less excitement, but we're in there. So that's me right there on the left. The guy in the middle with the championship cup, that's my buddy Juan. Juan is a diabetic, and after the game, Juan is just mowing French fries. We got used to Juan not doing that because diabetes. French fries and beer, like Juan what gives, he raises his shirt up and shows us his continuous glucose monitor on his abdomen. He's like, I'm good. Goes on to tell us the story about this doctor's appointment he had because his feet were really bothering him. And he goes to the doctor, he's sitting there while the doctor's out of the office. He's frustrated. He starts texting with his buddy, who's a consultant at Boston Consulting Group. And the buddy tells him to get the Dexcom CGM, and so that's the one that Juan has. And I'm like, whoa, Juan, you have the text? Like, dude, I'm doing like a speech. Can you give me the text? And so this is the conversation. So Nate is the BCG guy. He's like, get yourself a CGM, tells him to get the Dexcom CGM. Juan's like, oh, I don't know what that is. For those that don't know anything about CGMs, there's two in the market. There's the Dexcom, that's the commercial with Nick Jonas, and then there's the Abbott Freestyle Libre. So Nate's like, get the Dexcom even though it's a little bit pricier, and Juan's like, you know what? I had a meeting with the Endo coming up, I'm gonna try it. Ultimately, he's like, listen, you gotta tell the doctors what you want, because I don't necessarily trust doctors to understand my preferences. Now, Juan, me, Nate, we're all in our 40s, and we certainly trust doctors, but examples like this prove that it's safe to say you probably trust those in your inner circle a little bit more. And when you're talking about young people, Gen Z, I think there's really good news here. Our research has confirmed that young people are still trusting with doctors. That's great. And I was very comforted by this one. They're still trusting scientists. That's good to see given some of the stuff that we've seen the last couple of years. But as comforting as this stuff is, the trust they put into their friends and their family is that much more. So I think the question for us today is, how do you become a friend and family reco? Well, we've talked a lot about this, and there's a IPG study from this year that confirmed it. Social commerce is the #1 source of brand discovery. That same study said that social commerce of buying stuff on social is going to double to $107 billion in the next couple of years. But we've also talked about there's some serious barriers to discovery on social, and those barriers are a lack of trust and a lack of authenticity. So the question really comes down to, for me, for Juan, for Gen Z, for all of us, who do you trust? And with so much discovery taking place on social, what if there was a world where you could ultimately bring down the trust barrier? In a world where you could enter conversations like the one that Juan was having with Nate and organically become part of that dialogue. Or a world where you could leverage the influence of like friends and family to ultimately help build consumer trust and maybe even drive better business outcomes. That world exists. That's what Snapchat does. That's our superpower. When Snapchat was founded, it was founded at the very beginning strictly to enhance relationships with your friends, family, and the world. And we've got 383 million daily active users, and when they come, they know that they're going into a safe space where there's a safe community, where they can share what matters most to them. And they also know, because we designed this as a feature at its core, that they don't have to fear being popular or fear being perfect, because there are no public likes or comments on Snapchat. You're just there to talk to your people. And how do you feel when you're talking to your people? You feel good. Sorry, a little bit of lag. Might jump. Yeah. So 91% of Snapchatters are happier than when they got there. And that's really important for us, and it's important for the wellness community as well, because when you're feeling pretty positive about stuff, you're more likely to establish a little bit more of a trusting relationship. And we know that, we actually know that very well, because can you just, maybe just click the button. Maybe I just dropped the clicker. Yeah. I just point to you. Recent, go back. Recent morning consult just anointed Snapchat the #1 trusted brand among Gen Z. We really lean into this whole happiness and trust thing, mostly as like a counterweight to vitriol and the misinformation that you see on other social media platforms. But we realize when people are feeling good and happy, they're more willing to experiment with new ideas, more willing to maybe try a new brand or try a new product. And all that experimentation and that mindset ultimately contributes to jump to the next one. Snapchatters being much more likely to purchase something on social media. So Snapchatter is defined as someone that uses social media every day. 176 more likely to buy than someone that does not use Snapchat every day. You can click through. I just point to you. So that willingness to buy is not just for, that previous stat was for all products and services. That willingness to buy is really apparent in the wellness category. So let's take nutrition. Snapchatters spending around $71 a month on nutrition products. Non-Snapchatters are spending around $55 a month. And this is through research that we completed with NRG. Next stat, it's not just broadly in nutrition, it's all the nutrition categories. From meal plans like what you would find with Factor, or protein shakes and powders that you would find from like a Quest Nutrition, or even vitamins like you might find in a Vitamin Shoppe. And it's not just the nutrition category, it's really all wellness dimensions. So from fitness to personal health, to mental health, to appearance. So you got a social media company that is the #1 trusted brand for Gen Z. You got a social media company where people go there exclusively to communicate with their friends and family. And a social media company where people leave happier than when they got there. So that, I think that's different, right, with social media. So it stands to reason that our audience is going to be a little bit different too. So 50% of our audience logging into these other social media platforms every day. 50% of our audience are not. So those trusting, happier people that are more likely to buy stuff, if you're not advertising on Snapchat, there's a really good chance that you are missing out on them. I want to tell you a little bit more about the wellness consumer on Snap. So 81% of them say that they actually rely on social media to kind of help them through their wellness journey, versus 58% for non-Snapchatters. 87% say they actually like engaging with advertising on social media, versus 65% for non-Snapchatters. And then this is my favorite, 91% of them say that they go to social media specifically to learn about new products and services, new brands, and new trends. And what do they do when they learn? And this behavior is completely unique to Snap. Jump to the next one. Just keep going all the way through. A lot of bills. So check this out. Snapchat is only one of these platforms, so once they learn about it, they share it. It's the only platform where people actually share as much as they view on the platform. And that's really important because all that sharing means that conversations like the one that Juan was having with Nate play out on Snapchat millions of times a day. And for the wellness vertical, it makes so much sense because friends and family are the #1 source of product discovery or for Snapchatters. And it's not just about friends and family and that influence, but we talked about the mindset and their willingness to engage with ads. It doesn't irritate them as much. They're a lot less annoyed, right, when they see advertising on social, and they're a lot less annoyed when they see advertising on social. So that leads to advertising is actually the #2 source of product discovery on Snapchat. So I just gave you a lot of stats. And, I think we talked a lot about trust here. It's my job, Justin's job, Eileen's job to build trust with all of you. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. But ultimately, you're probably asking, does this actually work? And you might leave here and have somebody test Snap, and if it didn't work, you're not going to come back. So the short answer to the question of does it work is absolutely. That's across the entire purchase funnel. And we've got, do the next one. We've established our credentials at the upper part of the funnel with brand advertising because we actually invented vertical video. So it's table stakes now, everybody's using it, but we started. And nowadays, because it is table stakes, our big differentiator is augmented reality. We found out through partnership with Dentsu that when you add augmented reality to business as usual campaign, it increases your reach by 45%. That's because when you go to Snap, you start there with the camera and have that experience. It also drives 4 times the engagement. You can see why. When you add it to vertical video, it drives more brand awareness lift, it drives more brand association, and significantly greater brand favorability. But a lot of you are just doing performance advertising. You need to know when you spend $1 it works. So we might not have had the trust that we needed there. That's why in October of 2022, we revamped everything. Product, personnel, resources. And so from a year ago, our performance product, if you click there, for health and wellness advertisers, CPAs are down 50%. And for, you can keep going. And for advertisers overall, CPAs are down 64%. That's what we're doing to build trust. So just let me leave you with one more thing. And just go through all these quickly. We know that tomorrow's commerce is social. We know that real friends are the #1 source of product discovery. We know about Snap's unique reach, 383 million daily actives. 50% of them you can't find on TikTok. Social media advertising is the #2 source of product discovery. And I think we might have learned that it might be worth giving Snap a test today. So that's it. Trust. Oh, one more thing. But also learned that trust is like a fun acronym. It's easy to make good stuff out of that. Anyway, thank you so much, y'all.